More than 70% of people tell the country is on the wrong track. They say the country is on the wrong track. If it's on the wrong track, that track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president and President Biden being president. That is what they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam Vice President.
You and I both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is that over the last decade, people
you're the
have
lever
become.
of power.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to New Gen Politics. So this is probably the end of the Kamala campaign. This was the most disastrous interview I think I've ever seen. It's gone terribly. And this was supposed to save her. This was supposed to be the I'm fair moment. I can give an interview. I can go on Fox News. She's been bragging for the last couple of weeks about how she does interviews and Trump doesn't, and Trump's hiding. Well, she's the one hiding. And it's very clear why. Because she goes on with Bret Baier, who is like the most milquetoast interviewer ever. He's very fair, impartial, not aggressive. It's not Jesse Waters or Tucker Carlson. It's Bret Baier. It's like Death by Penguin. Like somehow still she was intimidated and she gave nothing answers the whole time. She was nervous about being pressed because she's never been pressed like that before. The only other time that's comparable is 60 Minutes, when even then they edited the footage. So this was the moment. This was the moment to say, I can do this. I can do this job. I can give interviews. A 27-minute interview should be nothing for a presidential candidate. But still, she totally blew it. Going on and on about just rhetoric. We're going to move forward. The country's in a bad place. I'm going to turn the page. But also, we've done good things. And it just doesn't click in any way. She's not saying specifics. And when Bret demanded specific answers from her, how many people have come across the border in your administration? No answer. Give a number, an estimate, 1 million, 3 million. Oh, well, I'm glad you brought up the immigration system. It's broken. Yes, it is broken. How many people do you think came across? Oh, well, it's still Trump's fault somehow. And that's the other thing. Blaming every single thing that's ever happened in the world on Trump. Trump is the origin of original sin. Trump is, basically the devil incarnate. Everything bad that's ever happened is Trump's fault. Whether it was before her vice presidency or during it, it's all Trump's fault. And Bret asks very simple questions. They say it's gotcha and ambush, and it's like, no. Why is the border such a disaster? Oh, well, the border bill. Okay, well, the border bill fiasco happened about 9 months ago. For about 2.5 years before that, bordering on 3 years, you've been in charge. And the border was still a disaster during that time. So how is Trump responsible for that? Why aren't you responsible? Would you regret tearing up the things that lowered the amount of illegal immigrants coming across the border? No. She said, no, there's no regrets. She wouldn't have changed anything. And that's kind of the problem. She has no belief and no cover. When pressed on a real question, she can't give a real answer. She has to deflect, go to rhetoric, and just blame Trump. It was just blame Trump the entire time. I in that clip I showed, oh, well, 79% of the people think the country's going in the wrong direction. You're in charge. Why do you think they believe that? Well, Trump's been running for president. Okay, yeah, he's got a microphone out in a field somewhere, but he has no power. He's got no physical power. Yeah, maybe culturally you can say that, but he doesn't pass the laws. So you're in charge. You guys passed the laws, you and Biden, and apparently, you okayed everything Biden did. You wouldn't have changed anything. You were there for every meeting. So you're equally responsible, right? It's not like she's trying to cut herself loose from Biden and say, I wanted to do this and he wouldn't let me. That would have been better. But she's okay with everything he did. She's signed off on it. She wouldn't change a thing. So why are we in the state we are now? And why does everybody hate it? Oh, well, it's Trump's fault. It's like, okay, but you have the levers of power. You're the one passing the laws. Well, it's still Trump's fault. And people aren't buying that. They don't believe it. And just saying Trump bad, Orange Man bad, we've seen in the past, is not a good argument. She needs specifics, and she didn't give any. She just got destroyed by Bret Baier because he asked her simple Socratic questions. Is the border a problem? Yes. Why is it a problem? Are you in charge? I am in charge, but it's not my fault. Okay, why is it not your fault? And she can't give any coherent answers because there's no defense. Their record has been terrible, and her administration will probably be even worse because she is way more liberal than Biden is. She's a true believer in all this stuff. It's not just, incompetence, it's malice. She wants everything. She wants an open border. She wants the communistic ideals in the economic system to come to fruition. She really, really wants price controls. She really wants a tax on unrealized gains, like that kind of stuff. So she can't say that during interviews because her ideas are too crazy for the ones she actually has, and the ideas and answers for things she doesn't. She can't fib. She can't lie. She's not capable of doing that. She's not crafty enough to dodge a question effectively. She just pins everything on Trump. And I think what really shows, there's not a lot of exit polls yet for this interview, but if you go to Polymarket, the betting odds, right now Trump is sitting at 62.5% chance of winning. Kamala at 37.5. So basically 2/3 of people think Trump's going to win. And that number has been going up and up and up over the last 2 weeks, significantly. So that should tell you everything you need to know, that the people who are putting their money where their mouth are saying that it's over, right? Like this was the moment to stop what happened, like to stop the numbers from dropping, and she couldn't do it. And now there's one final thing left. That's even the final Hail Mary, 10 seconds left in the fourth quarter. What could she possibly do? And that's the possibility of going on Joe Rogan. And I think that's a horrible idea. I think that's probably the worst idea I've ever heard. Now, I love it because I think she'll be exposed for having no ideas and be incapable of, repeating herself for 3 hours, because Joe Rogan will ask her serious questions. In this interview, Brett had questions to get through. Like, she could dodge pretty effectively because he had stuff he wanted to ask too. And it's very close, very short time frame, 27 minutes, not very long. You can dodge for basically any line of questioning for 27 minutes. And even at that, she failed at, but 3 hours. And we're in no hurry for 3 hours. Joe Rogan can sit on the topic of the border and what she did and what she didn't do for an hour and a half if he feels like. Even more, he could take up the whole 3 hours on one issue trying to drag an answer out of her. She can't use her rehearsed lines like she did in this interview. She would be incapable of having anybody help her. Joe's not going to give her the questions like every other interview she's ever had. He's not going to cut the footage or edit it. But I think they know that that's it. That's the final possible thing they can do. They need the male vote. A lot of men watch Joe Rogan. They need to have support from, or like this, to stop the bleeding from their support, their base, the people who see her give an interview and have no idea what she's standing for. So they kind of go with the evil they know, which is Trump. Economy was better, border was better. I don't like what he says in mean tweets, but things were better. So maybe I'll go with him because I have no idea what she stands for. And that's the biggest criticism from independents, even from people on the Democratic side, that they have no idea what she stands for. And this interview didn't clear anything up. And it makes it worse because every time she comes out and she doesn't give an answer, people get scared. They have no idea what she stands for, what she actually wants. Just saying Trump bad, saying voting against Trump, don't vote for me, vote against Trump, is not a very enthusiastic argument. It's not something that motivates people to actually go to the polls and vote for you. They'd rather just stay home because they don't care about you. And at this point, a lot of people don't even care that much about Trump. They don't hate him as much as they did in the past, like reasonable people. There's the people foaming at the mouth, Trump could, nothing Trump could ever do would be good enough because he's, the progenitor of original sin, right? Like he's the worst thing that's ever happened to the world. So those people are totally irrational, but moderate people are like, I don't even care anymore. I don't like him. He says mean things, but he's not that bad. Things were pretty good. They're okay. There's no wars. The economy was good. Things were cheaper. So they'll just stay home. They just won't vote for her because they're not enthused to vote for her and they're not that enthused to vote against Trump. His interview did not change anything in a positive direction. It definitely changed things in a negative direction. That's pretty apparently clear. As the poll numbers will come out, we'll see that she'll drop even more. Trump's ahead in all the swing states. That margin is going to continue to grow, I believe. And the final thing, going on Joe Rogan, if that's possible, I don't think that's even confirmed for either of them. I don't think that'll give Trump a big boost. I think he'd go up 1% maybe. People already know Trump, right? Like it's just he's done podcasts for 3 hours in the past. So this is not like, he's probably not going to learn anything super new. I'd love Joe Rogan to ask Trump about nationalism and his beliefs in dealing with other countries and the deep state and what he's going to do about that. All that stuff he hasn't really talked about that much. I'd love to see Joe Rogan tackle that, media censorship, all that stuff. But I don't think that the interview will really affect Trump in any way substantially. Kamala, he'll just rip her apart. She'll fall to pieces, and they'll pull her out of there. You know, like in this interview, Brett Baer was saying at the end, they were trying to pull her out, throw in the towel, get her out of there. It's not, she's dying out there. So I think at Joe Rogan, they'll have to either walk out or, I don't know, just not do it, because you can't deflect for 3 hours. But at this point, she's losing momentum. Like, the momentum's on Trump's side. She's got to do something to stop the bleeding and get her support back. The honeymoon phase of the DNC, Biden dropping out, all that stuff, is dried up over the last couple of weeks. It's like when you throw an object, you throw a rock and it goes flying straight for a long, long time and then immediately just drops. And they were hoping that drop would happen after the election. They were hoping that they could sail the numbers, that, fresh blood, that she's the new person, she's great, the artificial support for her from the media. They thought that would carry them all the way to November. It didn't. It died in October. So now they got to do something. They got to do something to garner attention. And every time they go out there, I've made this point before, that it's like, if you never see somebody, you have a question for somebody. And when last time you asked them, they didn't answer it. So you still have this question for them. It's on your mind, but it's not really that big a deal. If you don't see them, you don't think about it, right? That's kind of how Kamala's been operating. Is she's been disappeared for a while. She was hiding. She didn't give interviews. So you didn't know anything about her, but you didn't really have any questions. It was kind of in the back of your mind, but it wasn't prevalent. Versus, say you have a question for somebody and you see them every single day. Well, what about that thing I asked you? Oh, well, I'll get back to you. Every single day. It makes it worse, right? Because it's not that you just didn't get an answer. It's that you're continually not getting an answer after asking repeatedly every single day. That's kind of where the Kamala camp is now, is she's giving interviews, but she's not giving any answers. And it infuriates people even more, because they're like, I wish I would have rather just not seen you, to not be able to ask these questions, than to every single time I see you, you get asked the same questions and you don't give an answer. It makes it seem way more like you've got something to hide, that you don't have any policies, that you're incompetent. And this is no exception. This has not been a positive experience. Going on Fox is that Fox News is like, it's Fox News. Like, it's not that bad. Brett Baer is not somebody who's trying to ambush you, but going on that apparently was such a disaster, right? Like, they knew they couldn't do it. That's why they haven't done it till the fourth quarter, because they didn't want to do it. But now, since she's saying that Trump hides from interviews and stuff, even though he goes and gives 2-3 hour podcasts basically every other day, does rallies all the time, does interviews with people who don't like him, town halls. Despite all that, she's saying he's the one hiding. Okay, well, if he's the one hiding, then prove that you're not hiding. Go on Fox News. She can't do it. She did it one time. She's never going to do it again. We know that's for sure. And there's not going to be a Fox News debate like there has been in the past every single year. There's not going to be a town hall debate where she's asked real questions, because we know she can't answer them. And I don't think she should go on Joe Rogan from a strategic standpoint. I think right now she's going to lose, so she has to do it, if he even lets her on. But I think that'll be the end. I think that'll be disastrous. I don't see any way she can recover from this interview besides the Joe Rogan. If she nailed that out of the park, she might be able to win. But if she does terribly on that, I think it's over. Like I said, about 2/3 of people are betting that she's going to lose, that Trump's going to win. She continues to go down the polls. There is no momentum stopgap for her, and there's nothing left to bank on. It's not like there's an upcoming debate. It's not like there's an upcoming major interview anymore. It's over. There's nothing left. The only thing left is political ads, and that will not be enough to save her at this point in time. Because again, we know nothing about her. And a 30-second political ad saying, I did a great job at the border, does not comfort people. It does not give them any information. a 30-second ad saying Trump bad is not enough motivation for them to go and vote for you if they don't like you and they don't know anything about you. They'll just stay home. I know a lot of people personally that just are not going to vote for Kamala because they don't like her, who are Democrats, lifelong Democrats, and they're not enthused. And they say, well, Trump, he sucks. I don't like him, but he wasn't that bad. You know, I'd rather stick with the evil I know. That's going to be the line going into this voting season. Would you rather vote for Trump or vote against Trump? And I think the motivation to vote for somebody is stronger than the motivation to vote against them. And I don't think this interview changed that. So that's my thoughts on this. Total disaster. The only thing possible that could save her now, I think, is the Joe Rogan interview, if that happens on his podcast. But we'll have to just wait and see if they even want to do that. The fallout from this will determine their next steps. So watch for that the next couple of days. Check the polls, 538, Poly Market, real clear politics. And I'll also update on anything I find. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Let me know what you think down in the comments below about the interview or where she's headed or any suggestions on what you think would be good for her to do at this stage, because I don't see very many options left. So let me know all that down in the comments below. And thank you for watching.